Ranveer Alabadia, also known as Beer Biceps, he went on a show called India's Got Latent, which is a comedy show, sort of like the Indian Kill Tony, and he made a few controversial jokes.
And Ranveer Alabadia is in trouble for his crass and vulgar joke. Trouble is mounting for the YouTuber and podcaster Ranveer Alabadia over his remarks on the roast show India's Got Latent.
I have another question.
Yes.
Would you rather watch your parents every day for the rest of your life?
क्या हो गया रणवीर भाई को?
Or would you join in once and stop it forever?
My comment wasn't just inappropriate, it wasn't even funny. Comedy is not my forte. I'm just here to say sorry. Many of you asked if this is how I wish to use my platform, and obviously this is not how I wish to use it. I'm not going to give any context or justification or reasoning behind whatever happened. I'm just here for an apology.
Famous YouTuber and podcaster Ranveer Alabadia is in hot water after making some inappropriate jokes and comments on stand-up comedian Samay Raina's India's Got Latent. Following the controversial remarks, an FIR has been filed against Ranveer, Samay, and the other judges present on the.
Now, I want to talk about why this is important. And it's not why you think it is. I think it's important to note here that the joke that got the most hate or most controversy isn't an original joke. It's been said on shows before. Now, I put this on my story. Just putting it out there, I'm not the biggest fan of Beer Biceps or Ranveer. He has a podcast and I do like some of the guests that he interviews on that podcast, but he also platforms a lot of right-wing fascists on this platform. He was in fact paid for by the Indian government to run paid propaganda for the ruling party, the BJP, where he interviewed a bunch of BJP ministers who otherwise refused to talk to actual journalists. And as you know, these interviews were softball questions, softball as fuck. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of this guy, I had to run defense. I believe in free speech. I believe that anyone should be able to make whatever joke that they want. I don't believe in cancel culture. I think it's bullshit when a lot of comedians in the West whine about cancel culture while, they're performing in sold out arenas. But I put this out on my Instagram story. I'm not the biggest fan of this guy, but the outrage over his joke is insane. It's scary that you could have police at your doorstep for making a shitty joke. For a country that's repeatedly ranked the most dangerous country for women and the most dangerous air quality in the world, this much public outrage over a joke is a joke. I believe in free speech. And I think even if I don't like the kind of content someone makes, and if I don't like what they preach, I feel like as long as they're not bordering on hate speech, they should be able to say whatever they want. Now, the Indian media lost their shit over this. They are still running headlines over and over again and making this issue so much more larger than it is. And I wanted to talk about why this is problematic and similarities that you see in the American media. The Indian media, or media in general, are putting so much focus on this issue because they want people to care about. They want people to be upset over this. They want people to want to cancel Ranveer. And Ranveer is a guy who's made content like spirituality. He's made content about Hinduism. So a lot of people are naturally upset that he's making jokes like this. But just, I think a week back, you had Brian Johnson, who was in India to record a podcast, leave. He had to leave midway through the podcast because the air quality was so harmful.
Team's telling me you want to yeah? Okay,
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, Brian had to leave. Air quality in Bombay is not up to.
Yes, I did leave this podcast in the middle, and it became the most talked about topic in all of India for several days. My mom was pretty surprised too. The reason why I left is the air quality is so bad, it's like smoking 3 to 4 cigarettes in a 24-hour period. And when you're trying to not die, that is not something you want to do. And so India has had a very serious air pollution problem, and everybody is so normalized to it, they can't even see it anymore. India would improve the health of their citizens more by addressing air pollution than by solving cancer. That's how big of a deal it is. So then I wondered if Indians are so normalized to pollution they can't see it, what am I normalized to in the US? And I came home and then I realized that over 40% of people in the US are obese. Everywhere I looked, someone was obese, and I couldn't see it anymore because I had been so normalized. So it happens to all of us that we just get accustomed to our local settings. So I'm going to drop a longer form video on YouTube about air pollution, but just know it's really important for your health. And oftentimes many people don't know how to measure it, what's good and what's bad. So stay tuned.
Now, this is the air quality in Mumbai. You don't see, I mean, I saw it maybe for a day or two, a few posts about it, and then disappeared. Completely disappeared. No one talked about that. It was embarrassing for India that the air quality was so unhealthy and that Indians were used to this. And Brian Johnson even made a video about this. But a few days afterwards, completely gone. It was not mentioned in the media at all. It came and it disappeared. The fact that Indian air quality is so unhealthy. This Ranveer issue, such a big thing, is because they want you to be distracted. They want Indians to be distracted. They do this with, religion. They do this with caste. They do this by dividing Indians against each other, because the more divided Indians are, the less they're going to complain about, the problems that actually matter. The more that they make Pakistan the enemy, the more that they make China the enemy, the less people are going to ask, why they don't have clean air. The minimum thing you can give a country, no one's going to ask that if the government is telling them that it's Pakistan. Pakistan's the enemy. China's the enemy. The more distracted the people are, the less they're going to question why they don't have a robust healthcare system. The less they're going to question why the public education is so bad in India. The less they're going to ask why unemployment is so bad in India. The media want people to be distracted as much as they can, and you see this in America as well. With Elon Musk, his Nazi salutes, his all this, neo-fascism. It's all a distraction as to what he's actually doing. What he's actually doing, he wants the people to be more upset over the Nazi, over the neo-fascism, rather than the fact that he is so anti-union, that he's lining up his own pockets using government money. He doesn't want people to talk about that. He doesn't want people to talk about the fact that he fires anyone who tries to unionize at Tesla. They don't want people to talk about the fact that he gets billions in government subsidies, while at the same time complaining about people getting government money. It's a distraction. And the same thing is happening in India. It is a distraction. That's all it is. It's a joke. This guy is an influencer. He has no impact on government policy. But the more that you're upset over him, the more that the government can get away with. They want us to be divided. They want people to be divided against each other. And this is exactly what the British did. They want to divide and rule, because the more divided the people are, the more upset they are over each other, the easier they are to rule. And a part of me says that, Ranveer built his audience off of these conservatives, off of these right-wing conservatives, and now he has to sleep in the bed that he's made. He knew what he was doing. But I still feel bad for him, because I don't think he deserves the amount of hate that he's getting. And it's not just because of what he said, it's because the media have found something else to distract the people with. Now, I had someone reach out to me on Instagram. They replied to this story. They said, I understand where you are coming from, but considering the amount of influence he has over people and the reach he has towards people and the kind of spiritual and devotional stuff he says on this channel, this is very inappropriate. This totally says how dark he is inside and how totally pretentious he is. You can't be a pious person preaching stuff and morals and then shit on the side. This is a fair thing to say. But the reality is, this guy is just an influencer. This is a comedy show. It blows my mind that so many people are so upset over the decency, over the inappropriateness of what this influencer says. Meanwhile, this is what I replied to him. Yeah, he sure does have influence over people. But where is this outrage when the people actually in power, who also preach stuff and morals, are the ones literally saying things like, women wearing Western clothing are responsible for the rise in rapes. This was said by BJP MLA Harbhajan Chima in 2024, blaming women for the rise in rapes against them. Marital rape isn't rape. BJP actually opposed a marital rape being classified as rape in October 2024. Not that long ago, in the Supreme Court, they argued that marital rape isn't rape, which is insane. When rape is inevitable, just lie down and enjoy it. This was said by Congress MLA Ramesh Kumar in 2021. It's easy to go after some influencer who has zero impact on government policy, but keep up this same energy towards the people actually in power, spewing dark, repressive hatred while acting like they're spiritual and devotional. You don't see the people getting so mad about what the people in power are actually saying. You don't see the media, focusing on what the people in power are actually saying. And the reason why added in both sides of the aisle, Congress and BJP, is because I'm not a partisan hack. I think that no matter which party you're in, you should be held accountable for what you say. Who gives a fuck what some random influencer says? The people in power are literally blaming women for rapes against them. They're literally saying, if you're getting raped, just lay down and enjoy it. If this doesn't infuriate people, if this doesn't trigger people more than whatever the fuck Ranveer said, I don't know what to do. This should make everyone mad. This should make everyone mad, and not what some fucking influencer said, some YouTuber said on a comedy show. It's the people in power that are saying much worse stuff, and they're getting away with it. And these people are still in power. But the media doesn't want to show you that. The media wants you to be distracted over things that don't even matter to the everyday people. They're not going to question why there isn't enough healthcare, why there's no good public education system, why the air quality is so fucking shit. They don't want you to question that. So ask yourself, why doesn't the media focus on the actual people in power saying inappropriate, dark, nasty things about women, about rape, then focus on comedians making a shitty, edgy joke? Ask yourself why. It's pretty obvious.